This is the 287 Coaches Show, brought to you live from 287 Roadhouse in Dumas, Texas. This episode of the 287 Coaches Show is brought to you by these local sponsors.
All right, and welcome to the 287 Coaches Show. I'm Raymond Brady, joined here by Darrell Waite and Coach Dunham, head football coach for the Dumas Demons. And this is the Coaches Show number 11. So we've done 11 shows here. And coming up is the playoff game this Friday. So it's a big week for the Demons. And want to give a quick little bit of information about watching the game this week. We did kind of procure the rights to stream the football game this Friday night. It's quite a process to go through, but we will be streaming that through Blue Cloud TV. There are some restrictions, and one of those restrictions is we cannot stream it directly to social media, and so it's kind of a big deal. If you're used to watching it on Facebook, you're not going to be able to watch it on Facebook or YouTube or any of those places this week. It will only be available on the Blue Cloud TV website. And now it will be on there live, and it will be on there for a short period of time after for on-demand viewing as well. But just remember, if you're watching and you want to watch the game Friday night, you're not able to go. We would hope that you would go, preferably, but if you can't and you're watching the game, you got to go to the website, and that website is www.bluecloud.tv. There's no .com or .net, it's just .tv. And that will be the place that you watch the game this week. And we want to thank 287 Roadhouse for hosting us throughout this season. And I'm going to turn it over to Darrell and Coach.
All right, thank you, Raymond. I've got some stats that Zane printed up for me, but let's review the game for a moment, the scoring. Coach Pampa took the ball, that opening kickoff, and they rolled down the field, and I believe it was like 4th and 22 or something. Their quarterback, Sam Aguiano, found Jordan Lacey 29 yards out. They scored first. So did that get y'all nervous or worried about the way they went downfield and scored?
You know, it's not. I've talked to a lot of people, and, you know, everybody's commented on that. And, I mean, it's not typical, but people are going to score on us from time to time. And so,
really?
Yes.
We like those shutouts, Coach.
I know, but people are going to score, and, you know, they did. They drove down. Pampa has a very explosive offense. We knew it going in. They've got some talented kids and returned a lot of kids from last year's team that was a pretty good football team as well. And so we knew coming in, got them down to 4th down, and we knew as well they were going to be aggressive all night long, going for it on 4th down. just we just didn't execute a coverage really well, and they found Lacey, talented receiver, open in the end zone. And so, we just regrouped. We just had to come over and talk about it on the sidelines and get with our kids. And very fortunate that our offense went right back down and answered. So, wasn't exactly how we wanted to start the game. But, again, always got to be prepared and be able to, it just can't be a total shock to us.
Well, right after that, and you just made that comment, Dumas scored, and I believe it was like 3rd and 12 or 3rd and 17. And Braden Boggs rushing found Juan Romero for 72 yards out, and then the 2-point conversion was no good. But first of all, we really haven't mentioned this much because we don't really talk about injuries, but Juan Romero had knee surgery back in the spring. Wasn't even sure if he's going to get back for the season, so I'm sure that was a huge lift for your team having him in the game on Friday.
It was, and he's just a kid that, the whole time – was wanting to play, knowing that he wasn't going to be able to at this time until he was released, and just hoping that the time schedule was going to be quick enough, that he could. And so it was very, very – he's been locked in all season long. He's really just become another coach. He's been at every practice, every meeting, every film session, and hasn't been able to play. But he was really he's been prepared. He hadn't been physically getting those reps, but he's been taking mental reps all season long. And so, when his time to come, which we found that out on Thursday that he was going to be available for the game, we were very excited. And then there it was, 3rd and 17, and we called the pass play. Braden stepped up in the pocket, and Juan was open, and he put it there. And that was just everybody was very, very excited when we saw that happen. And then to find out, that it was Juan that scored it, just really, really excited, and our kids got really fired up about that.
And that was good to see that. That made the score 7-6. Pampa's next opportunity on offense, they threw it to an open receiver, and then I believe it was Oliver Ortiz caused a fumble, and Parker Dunham, your son, fell on it, and then Dumas went in to score, and this time it was James Bednor's on a 7-yard run. Zane has 7. I thought it was 13, but somewhere down close. James went in. That made the score 14-7. Then you scored one more time in the first quarter, and this time it was Braden on a 2-yard run, and that made the score 27. That's where it was. And then you had an opportunity to score in the second quarter, and I believe James, I'm not exactly sure what happened down there, but dropped the ball as he was going in, or it may got ripped out. It was hard to tell from up in the press box.
Sure, fumble happened. We were on the 1-yard line, and I thought that was it frustrated me a bit. I mean, we really needed that because you never know how the rest of the football game is going to go, and we had an opportunity. Any time that we're on the 1-yard line, we need to find a way to get it in, and unfortunately we didn't. But we our kids never panic. I think that's what we talked about in the very first touchdown. That's what we talk about in situations like that. We have kids that really believe in our system, coaching staff that believes in it, and when those very unfortunate things happen like that, our kids regroup really quick, and we find a way, to move past that, because you got to have a next play mentality. I think it's that's really hard to do, but it's something we preach about and talk about, because if you don't, if you sit there and wonder about that play negatively, it's just going to affect you in the future. So we've got to watch that and just find a way to move forward from that.
Well, we were at 20-7 at halftime. You come out, you take the opening kickoff, and to me, they may have been trying to do a pooch kick or something, but Hunter Coley fielded it back over on the Pampa sideline, went over to your outside line downfield, and so you had good field possession, and you were able to then punch that in to go up 28-7.
I thought that was big, and I thought our special teams really played well. Something that we spend a lot of time on, not just offense and defense. We spend a lot of time on our special teams, and we think that they're a big part of helping us win games. And any time that we can have a big return like that and put our offense in a very favorable field position there, I think it's really big for us. And so really, really proud of the way our special teams responded there.
And that was James' 13-yard run. I found it now. I knew he had a 13-yard run. And then after that, Pampa's first possession, just like they did the first possession of the game, their first possession of the second half, they were able to go downfield. And this time, Aguiano found Lacey for 36 yards, and that made it 28-14.
That was a bust again. Just a busted coverage. We didn't execute the defensive coverage there real well. They slipped a running back out of the backfield on a little wheel route and caught us. With our eyes in the backfield. So we've got to do a really good job of making sure. I mean, that's how it happened. You know, when we talk about the first drive and we talk about the second drive, it's not so much what they're doing, but it's what we didn't do. And we just didn't execute our game plan really well there. And so we're going to have to really just take a little bit more focus on those, because that's one of our goals, you know, defensively, is to stop the first possession of each half, because we believe it's that important and has a big swing on winning football games. And so thank goodness that, you know, that there were other opportunities in the game that didn't come down to that, because we didn't meet that goal, because we did not stop them the first possession of each half.
Well, after going up 3 touchdowns early in the third quarter, they made it back to a 2-touchdown game. But on your next offensive possession, it was James Bednor's out in the flat. It looked like it was just going to be a short gain, and then he showed some speed running up the sideline. I believe it went for a 83-yard touchdown.
It did, and all started, you know, with our block of our receivers. Oliver Ortiz had a super block over there that really sprung James down the sideline, and you did. I'm continued to really be excited about the play of James Bednor's. I think he continues to get more explosive as the year goes. I just think as his speed is improving, he's really starting to feel good about himself, and went down the sideline, showed great speed there, and took it for 80 yards. And again, just a big momentum swing in the game right there.
Well, the next score was a pass from Braden Boggs rushing to Oliver Ortiz. I think there's about 5 minutes left in the third quarter to make it 42-14, and Oliver Ortiz does a good job catching that ball. I think one of the news stations in Dallas called it the play of the week.
It was, and you know, he really did a good job just going up and getting it. Wasn't just a little bit over the defender's head, and he jumped and brought it in and just made a really good catch. And continue to see Oliver playing really well. He's just really started to really produce and catch footballs for us, and excited about his play right now. And again, just opened up the score, just gave us a little bit more room as we went in the game.
And then I believe it was following an interception. Then Braden Boggs was able to go and score the last Dumas touchdown from 2 yards out. That made it 48-14, and then Pampa scored 1 touchdown late in the game.
They did. That was on our backups there. We had our backups in, just giving them another opportunity to play, and they did. Just unfortunate, because we expect everybody to execute it, no matter where you're at on the depth chart or what's going on, and so we got to get a little bit better there. We got to get our kids to come in and execute and finish out the game. But again, we did. Thank goodness that we had the room there and we had the opportunity to get that done.
Sure, and they need that experience, because you never know when one of those are going to have to be the next man up.
Agree. And so you got to get them in big games, and so we've got to execute a little bit better there when they get their opportunity.
All right, and then your offense. I was listening to a program before I came up here to do this show, and they were talking about people they were picking to win different regions, and they said, well, we just don't think Dumas is offensive explosive. But you made your unexplosive offense had 491 yards against Pampa the other night, and I would imagine that in the last 3 games you've averaged 450 yards, and you scored 45 against Hereford, 29 against Canyon, and 48 against Pampa. But let's just talk about Pampa. Really balanced. I think there's 280 yards passing and 206 yards rushing. So the offense did really well. Played
really well, and I don't understand it. I don't understand. I think we're pretty explosive. We're averaging, I think, right around 35 to 36 points a game. I really believe in the last 2 years that we've actually set the highest scoring offense in Dumas history, and so we're still pretty explosive, still scoring quite a few points. We just look a little bit different. But again, we're gonna obviously we've got to adapt to who our people are, and the kids that are on our team, and Braden is a little bit different quarterback, and so. I think we're still explosive. I think we did a really good job in the Pampa game, both with over 200-something yards rushing and 200-something yards passing. And so really, really pleased where our offense is at. I think our offensive line is a big part of that, really starting to gel and play extremely well right now.
Well, your defense only allowed 300 yards total offense for Pampa. Pampa had been averaging 43 points a game. And you held them to just 20 points. I'm not sure what their average offensive production was, but you held them to 300. And I think, again, your defense played exceptionally well. There were 2 drives and then a score against a lot of your substitutes. But for the most part, you held that what I would consider a very explosive offense in check.
I agree. They have a tailback that I thought was really, really elusive. And did a really good job. I thought at times I didn't think we tackled him great, but a lot of the credit goes to him. He's not going to be a kid that's going to go down on his first contact. He spins and turns, and we got to make sure that we wrap up and play a little bit better in that aspect of the game. But I was really, really pleased with the way that our kids play. I don't think in today's football that you can get real caught up on the yardage. The concept is to win the football game. Limit the scores. And that sort of fits into the bend but don't break style. We try not to get caught up. We do have a yardage goal that we'd like to keep because we believe if we can keep people under that, we can win a game. But there's going to be times where they're going to get more yards than that. We just got to get the stops that we need, and I thought we got that minus the first drive of each half there.
Right. Well, like you said, you let them go between the 20 and the 20. They may make 500 yards, but if they can't punch it in, then that offense becomes non-productive.
Totally agree. And I don't want to be somebody that, because I just think that can hurt your mindset a little bit. I think giving up yards and not being consistent and being able to stop people just get you mentally in a bad spot. And so we want to be we want to be good in that aspect of it. But again, long as they don't get in that end zone, that's the main key.
True. Now you did mention Cornelius Landers. He was the running back for Pampa. He may have been if not the best running back you faced. He's definitely in the top 2 or 3 that you faced all year. I'm not sure what his average was, but you did hold him to 75 yards, and I would imagine that's well below his season average.
I would think so, because he's very, very talented, and I thought we limited him pretty well all night long. And so pleased of our kids, pleased of our performance. The main goal there is that we won the football game, and we're district champs again for the 5th year straight, and undefeated in district. And so really, really proud of that, because that's a tall deal now, and I'm really proud of our staff and there's a lot of people that have a hand in that, and so really, really excited about that and the accomplishment of not only these kids but everybody that has come before them.
Well, we've talked a little bit about your special teams, but I wanted to mention a couple of things. The quick kick with Braden Boggs rushing, again, was exceptional. He doesn't kick it a long way, but that's not the goal. The goal is to get him pinned inside the 15, and it worked. And then, of course, Emmanuel Abanez, I don't think he kicked as well as he did the week before, but it was still effective.
He was very effective, and that's a situation where you've got your offense still on the field. I mean, as a defense, you've got to be able to defend that. I mean, because we can snap the football with our entire offense and go at any time, and so a lot of times it limits you from putting somebody back, and the whole intent is just to pin them deep and play defense. I'm a defensive guy, and so I like that. And then I thought our punt team again has been pretty consistent of being able to pin offenses deep and allow our defense to play. There's very few times this year that we've put our defense in poor situation because of our punt team, and so really, really proud of that.
Well, and then the punt return, I thought Emmanuel Abanez may have had one of his best nights. It didn't turn into a score, but he had 4 punt returns for an average of 27 yards. And if you just assume the other team punts it, say, to the 20, and now you're starting almost at midfield with a 27-yard return. So your punt return team really looked good.
They did, and that's just hidden yardage that a lot of people don't see. Anytime that we can get 10 yards in it, you've got a first down that the offense didn't have to get. And so if we can just continue to think in that way, and so you said 27 yards, that's almost 3 first downs that we produced in special teams that our offense is not going to have to do, and that's hidden yardage that really has big play in the football game.
Well, I think Raymond has some highlights that we can look at for last week, and we'll hear your comments on these.
Yes, sir. This is the play that we all talk about. There's Juan Romero, and that's fun to see. That's something we saw a year ago all the time. He was a 1,000-yard receiver coming back for senior year and had a knee injury, but he's back, and so that's really exciting to see. James Bednors, again, all started off with our offensive line. Our offensive line is really doing a great job blocking and opening up those holes. We talked about our defense, flipping the tight end right there. Kids do a really good job adjusting. and just flying and getting a lot of people to the football. Oliver Ortiz, another guy that we talked about, but here he's on the defensive side of the football. They caught it. Oliver does a good job punching the football out. Parker gets on it, and he's a little slow to get up there and knock the wind out of him. Again, James Bednors, but look at not only the offensive line, look at Zyrell Murga out there really doing a great job blocking, just unselfish play. People doing a great job for all over success of our entire football team.
And I think it was either Josh Flores or Oliver Ortiz put a good block out there too.
They did, doing a great job. Just over and over, our kids are doing that downfield. Jaden right here, just a great he's really, really starting to come along with this pass rush, something that I think people are all noticing. Just relentless effort to get to the football and another sack. I think he's got almost 10 sacks on the year. James Bednors, again, over and over and over. Look at his yards after contact. I mean, he was hit back there about 15, 16 yards back and just continued to make his way. Hunter Coley, we talked about this, special teams setting us up. It was a pooch kick. A lot of people fair catch it there. He did a great job. Front line's blocking well. Brings it all the way to the other side, and we've got our offense starting, on the 25-yard line, and that's really, really helpful to us.
Did you see that hole?
You can see it really, really big. And then James makes a big move as the hole closes up. James makes a good move and gets in the end zone. Here's this. I don't know if you can see the block, but Oliver Ortiz out here. Look at him right there.
Mm-hmm.
Great block that springs James down the sideline, and then the speed that we've talked about does a great job. He's really starting to pull away. But just fired up really about the way that James is playing. But all started off with the block of Oliver Ortiz, our receivers, unselfish play of our receivers. Cannon Speck, defensive end, getting out there on a fast screen and picking it off. Big play by him. I thought Cannon had a really big night, not only on defense, but he's on special teams. There's the catch for Oliver Ortiz that I think was the play of a week for a news station. Hunter Coley, we talked about him on the kickoff return. Here he is. I think he has 6 or 7 picks on the year. Again, just making a good play and then getting down. So nothing bad happened right there. Get down on the 1-yard line. Again, look at the blocking by James Bednors that opens up the hole for Braden to get in there. Really, really excited about the way that our guys are blocking. Arnaldo Hernandez. Good pass rush there. Knocks the ball out. Kids flying around would get on it. Really, really big there. Because that was a drive that was coming there in the second half. Could have really given Pampa some momentum. So some good plays right there. Kids flying around, really playing hard, and super excited about where we're at, where our football team's at. Seen a lot of growth. If from just being able to host this show and be able to talk about our kids, I really, really like where our football team's at and think that we've really, really improved from week one. And we're going to have to. We're going to have to play really well as we work into the playoffs here.
And let's talk about the playoffs for a moment. This is really the third phase. You had non-district, you had district, and now you're entering the third phase or the third season. And so what do you do anything differently, or is it just another week? Tell us a little bit about the preparation.
I think it's got to feel different. If you're going to talk to your kids about 3 seasons, the pre-district, then your second season being your district race, and then the third season being your playoff race, I think it's got to be different. I think the kids have got to understand that, we also talked about, all the bad ones are gone. I mean, here we are in the playoffs, and everybody that's here deserves to be here and has found a way to get here. And so, you might change up a little bit of the routine of practice and how you're, maybe all the physicality and all the hitting and stuff. You might try to bring back a little bit, but I just think you've got to more than anything work on the mind. I've talked to our kids about our mental clock and understanding, that if we're going to be a program that's talked about as being an elite program that's talked about playing deep into the playoffs, then we've got to make sure that our internal clock is rewired a little bit different. Because there's a lot of people across the state of Texas right now that play 10 ball games and they're done. And that's what their clocks have been from program to program, from year to year to year. And we're starting to rewire ours a little bit different here around Dumas. And we got to talk about it. And we got to make sure that our kids understand that we need to be where our feet are. because there's other sports that are starting to kick off, and you've got to really make sure that you keep your kids engaged and locked in on the task at hand. And so that's what's different about now. I think more mentally than anything, because it's been a long season. You got to make sure you keep your kids engaged and still hungry about what's in front of them.
Well, just as a quick explanation, because I get asked this question a lot. In our region, there's 4 districts, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then there's 4 regions, and every region has 4 districts. And the by-district round takes 2 districts, an odd number and even number. In our case, it's 3 and 4, and then it's first place from each district plays 4th, and then second place 3rd. And so that's kind of how that works.
Sure.
As the district champion, the top seed, you're playing a 4th-place team, Decatur. But I'm sure as you look at Decatur, you cannot look at it as a first team playing a 4th-place team. You have to look at it as another difficult ball game to prepare for.
I think our first-round matchup is just, especially with Region 1, is just really different than the other 2 districts. Decatur's a very, very talented football team, really rich tradition in what they do. They've played, 3, 4, 5 rounds deep year after year after year, and so we faced them in 2018 as the 4th. We were the number 1 seed, they were the number 4 seed, and I think they went on, and played 5 rounds deep that year. And so you can't get caught up in that. They play a schedule of really talented people. Their district has with Wichita Falls, Hershey they're ranked number 7 in the state right now, of which they were actually winning that game until the last 2 minutes. Hershey threw a big long pass down there and won the game 28-22, and so they're a really, really tough program, a really, really good opponent, and we can't get caught up in comparing seeds. We just got to make sure that we evaluate video and evaluate what they have and prepare our kids on that.
Well, we've played Decatur twice. We played them in 18 and 19. We didn't get to play them last year, but in 18 and 19, they were really a pass-first team, but they've kind of changed some of that up, probably because of personnel. They
are. They have a little bit different philosophy. They still do some of those same concepts, and because a lot of the same staff, and they have some of those passing concepts, but they're not just. They used to really set back, and they had a gunslinger back there that could really throw the football really well. Not that the one that they can't, that the one they have now can't. He's very effective at both running the ball and throwing the ball. I think he's about half and half on it, and so, but they're just different. Their offensive philosophy has changed a little bit, more high percentage on running the ball, more two-back offense than they have. They used to spread you out, which they still will, but they're leaning more towards that. They've got a really talented tailback that's very explosive, has great speed, and if he gets in the open, he'll really hurt you. And so they have changed a little bit just with their philosophy because their personnel has changed. They've got a really dual-threat quarterback that makes as many plays with his feet as he does with his arm, and so we're going to have to be really prepared for that.
Well, let's talk about the running back for a moment. The last 2 weeks, you faced what I thought was some really good running backs, and maybe the best 2 you faced since the opening game against Wichita Falls Rider. So as you look at the film, where does this running back for Decatur fit when you maybe try to compare to Bressler at Canyon or Landers over in Pampa?
Super talented, a little bit different than Landers. I would compare him more to the Bressler style. Another kid that we've faced this year, very first game of the season was Ryder. He's similar to him too. He's big. He's about 190, 195 pounds. A little bit more of a long strider. It takes him a little bit when he gets out on the edge, but if he has open space, he's very, very fast. And so very, very similar to Bressler as well. And as our kids watch and as our staff watch, you try to compare a little bit so we can prepare our kids, and so that's who I'd say he is. Very, very talented, and somebody that we're going to see carry the football, quite often, and so we're going to have to be prepared. It's going to take some gang tackling. We're going to have to get a lot of guys to the football. He's not somebody that you can hit up in the chest and that's going to go down. He'll run you over, and so we're going to have to gang tackle and get a lot of people to the football.
And they run a little different offense than, say, Pampa or Canyon, or maybe they're more similar to Pampa. And so it's not going to be like Bressler where they're trying to just run inside all night.
It's not. I would say they're more similar to the style of Pampa. Pampa runs a lot of two-back offense. Decatur's more in that arena than they are Canyon, and so different scheme, different philosophy. But one of their backs is more of a blocking back. And so we're just gonna, we're gonna have to be prepared. They're gonna stretch us all different types of ways. They do a great job with the RPO, of really sucking your linebackers down, and they've got a 6'5" receiver out there on the edge that's really gonna test us. He does a great job catching the football. And so it's going to be a challenge. It really is, and we're going to have to play some really good defense to give us a chance to win this football game.
Well, what kind of defense does Decatur run? I know you have a 3-man front. I believe Pampa had a 4-man front, and so you kind of play a 3-4, 4-3 all year long. Are they similar to things you've seen this year?
Similar. They're a 3-man front, but more of a 3-3 stack. A little bit different, a little bit angles, a little bit different position of where those outside linebackers are, more hipped backers, more playing the outside edge and in the flats more than they are in the box of a stacked backer over the nose. And so they're a 3-3 stack. They have a lot of ability to bring pressure from a lot of different directions. And that's something, that we've seen them do on film. They're aggressive. They've got 3 guys up front that really move and slant and do a great job. And then they've got some pretty active linebackers and a secondary that's really sound and does a good job in the back end. They're multiple in their coverage, and so we're just gonna have to do a good job. We're gonna have to really understand where those backers are and where their fits are going to be, and then just be able to take advantage of how they line up.
Well, I ask Dennis every Friday night, what is the key to get a victory? And we kind of talked to you about this morning when we taped the coaches show. What is the key for Dumas? Well, I mean, if you were to pinpoint 1, maybe 2 areas, what would you say are the keys for the Demons this weekend?
With the way that they run the football, I think we're going to have to be really, really sound and be pretty aggressive on the defensive front. I think I talk about that every single week, but I think that's how you win football games. I do think we're going to have to win the battle up front on both sides of the football. We're going to have to be able to run the ball, and so our offensive line is going to have to do a great job of being able to pick up their stunts and their different blitzes. I think we're going to have to be multiple on offense. I think we're going to have to be able to both establish the run game and then have the ability to push the ball down the field. I think we're going to always ball security is a key. We can't give them any extra possessions because they're really talented in what they do, and so we've got to limit their possessions and control the ball offensively. And so I think that's the keys to victory. Really, really good football up front on both sides of the football.
Okay. Well, Raymond, I can't think of anything else, Coach. You want to add anything to anything that you've said so far?
I don't think so. Excited about the opportunity. I would encourage, it's at Childress. It's not that far of a drive. A really nice stadium. That I think that the Dumas fans can pack. Our fans are a really big part of creating the environment and a playoff environment. So I'd really encourage our fans to come out and support our kids. I think our kids deserve it. They've worked extremely hard, and I just really liked our fans just to come out and really support our kids.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Coach, and Raymond, thanks for having us again.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for being part of this, and we look forward to seeing everybody Friday night. Remember, if you didn't catch the first of the show tonight, the game will be broadcast Friday night, but if you're used to watching it on Facebook or YouTube, it will not be on there. We can't broadcast that. There are some restrictions on this broadcast, and it's only allowed to be broadcast onto a private web server website. And so it's going to be on the bluecloud.tv website. That's the website address. Simple, just bluecloud.tv. And you can watch it live, and you can watch it on demand after the game for a short period of time. They allow us to keep that on there for a little bit. And so if you can't make it to the game, please feel free to watch it on the website. It's free of charge. We have some great sponsors that have come out and supported our efforts on the streaming side. And we have some great new sponsors that have kind of stepped on board to help us go this extra mile with the extra expense of getting us playoff games. So we sure appreciate the sponsors, and we will be highlighting those sponsors in the game and talking more about those sponsors and what they can provide and what they do for our local community. All local sponsors, all great people, and thank you for watching tonight, and we will see you here next week.
Yes.
I don't know the schedule. Do you have any idea of, will it be a Monday coaches show or a Tuesday coaches show?
I would think probably Monday.
Yeah, Monday
think
probably.
Monday?
Yeah,
I know.
because volleyball will either win and go to the state tournament or not win, and then the season comes to an end. So
Okay.
we're hoping they go to the state tournament, but it'll be toward the end of the week next week.
Well, we'll plan on Monday night back here, and thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next Monday night here at 287 Roadhouse.
You're watching the 287 Coaches Show, brought to you live from 287 Roadhouse in Dumas, Texas.